Okay, so this is what we would like to do. Oh, it's working. Okay. Write a program that creates a two-dimensional array, fills it using scanner, then display that array, and then prints the sum of every column. First of all, do we know, did I specify or did they specify what's the data type of that array? No. So you're free. Did we say what's the size of that two-dimensional array? No. So it's up to you. So what I'm going to be doing for now, do something like declare a double, why not? An array, let's say I'm calling them because I'm going to put numbers in them, so I'm going to put numbers and equal new double, and the size I'm going just to put something which is not going to oblige me to put to type a lot of values. So I have like 4 values to enter, and I'm going to put them there. Because it says that fills it using scanner. That means we'll need to use some values given by the user. So let's declare something that will allow us to capture that. So scanner control space will help me add the imports. Notice that if I press the enter, you have the imports, which should be between the package and the class. So let's call it kb equal new scanner system.in. Now, what I need to do in order for me to fill up the array. We've seen something, if we'd like to, in the lecture, something that allows us to initialize, oh here it is, to initialize the array. We've seen that there are 2 ways, either it's row-wise or column-wise. Generally, the easiest one is the row-wise, the mostly used one is the row-wise. So I'm going to be doing that that way. So it's important to realize that this is exactly the same code that I'm going to use, except I'm not going to put I plus j, because I don't need to have I plus j. I want something that comes from the user. So I'm going to change that. But I'm going to be having the same ID here for I 0 until a.length, because this is the number of rows, j 0 to i.length, which is the number of columns. And I'm going to be doing the same thing. Okay, in NetBeans, I can benefit from the help of the IDE by typing 4 and then pressing tab. Already I have this int I already prepared, and then the maximum for us is, what should I type here? Sorry? Well, I don't have S. What is the name of my array? So, okay, number dot length. Sorry? This is the number of rows, exactly. So this is having the number of rows. Inside that 4, I have another 4. Press tab again, and you can see that is for j. And now it's what's the number of column? Number 0 or I dot length. I can put 0. But I can put I as well, because I is 0, 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, because in this case I have only 2. But it still work here, no problems. The advantage of using I as opposed to 0 is that even if I have a ragged array, remember about ragged arrays? Arrays that are not even have the same number of rows and columns, like these ones. These are ragged arrays. We don't have the same number of columns for all the rows. So with this I, it will work also with the ragged arrays. If I put 0, it assumes that all of them they have the same number of columns as the row number 1. So I'm going to leave it like that. Then I'm going to say number I j is equal to, now I need to not put I plus j. I need to do something different. I need to get something from the user. So kb dot next. No, in this case double, because I'm using this. And I should finish with semicolon, and that's it. Now I have something that is going to read and put something on the array. Let's run it. And we see Is it working? It doesn't seem to be working. Well, normally it is working because it's waiting for me to enter something. When I'm going to enter 4 numbers, it's going to stop. Because this is what I said. Repeat, enter, get 4 numbers, put them there. It's just I did not display to the user, please enter a number, which makes more sense if I do something like this. Please enter a number. Then now it will be more easily understandable that the program is waiting for me to do something. And it's even better if I can just, for example, for the sake of this exercise, do something like this, like I, J. What do you think about this? What I mean with this one, I would like to have the value of I here and the value of j. If I display this, it's going just to always show me number ij, number ij. But if I would like to see the value of the variable I, what should I do? I should take it away out from the double quotes. So I should put my double quotes stop here and then start there. And in between them, I need to add what's inside of the I. Now if I run this, you're going to see that I now is the variable, not only the like j, which is just something that is going to always to be displayed j. I'm going to be doing the same thing with j. Close double quotes and open it there. So now j is just the variable that I would like to display instead of having just a text to have. Because I have j and I have I, and I'm going to display them like this now. It's going to show me this number 0, 0, 0, 1, and so on. Which is better than having please enter a number, please enter a number. I don't know how many numbers I'm going to enter. This way I can have a better idea. Okay? I can do something more fancy. I didn't do it before. I can display something. This program will ask you to enter how many numbers?
4.
Well, yes, but if I change this here, I will have to change it here again. There's a better way to do it. Number dot length. This is the number of rows, right? Multiplied by the number of columns. What do you think about this? This program will ask you to enter number of, this is 2 multiplied by 2 numbers. So if I run this, we'll ask you to enter 4 numbers. And then that's it. If I change this to, for example, something else, 9 by 3, so it's going to be, we'll ask you 27, 9 times 3. So this is more fancy, more, I don't know.
Now the sum.
Sorry?
The sum of the question.
Well, this is not required by the question. I'm just doing something extra. So let's go back to our tutu because we would like to do something. Now we can enter the values. Okay, something that we'd like to do now. Let's go back to the question. We did all this. We'd like now to display the array. How to display the array? Well, there's a code for that. We said that if we'd like to display the array, there's something, I don't remember when, there's the code. Where is it? It's jumping, that's why actually it's keeping going up. It's okay, reinitialization. I went too far. I'm just trying to I want to link you to the slides, so every time if you know you don't want to do something, you have to go back to the slides to do them. I'm just looking for that array. Did I delete it? Okay, this is the one I was looking for. To print a two-dimensional array, this is what I should do. Something like this. And then with the system.out, we've seen this in the slides. Actually, if I remember, I told you this is exactly what we do for one-dimensional array. And for two-dimensional arrays, we need to do it for, 2 for loops. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing, 2 for loops again. And then, instead of having these things, I'm going to display the array, which is number I, j, plus a space. So it's going to display line every row at a time, one row at a time. The first element, second, third, etc. And then when it reaches the end of the row, we're going to get out from this loop. I would like to go back to the line. Then we do the same thing again. So now let's see if it's still working. So we enter those numbers, and then it displays the numbers in a row, like one line at a time, and then that's it, it ends. So this is, let me just do something more professional, add more comments to my code. So displaying the array, two-dimensional array to the array, reading the 2D, reading the values of the 2D array. And I can put those comments so it can help me understand each part of the code, what it does. So if I go back and check it, it's better to see something like this. Now I would like to do what?
Sum.
To have the sum, it's here, to have the sum of every column. Not every row, but every column. Okay, how does, actually I should do that. Well, I have something, remember, we did something about row-wise and column-wise. So this is something about the column-wise, right? I need to do something like this in order to be able to do something which is column-wise. Plus, as you said, average. We've seen some processing that allows to calculate the average, but this time it was for row-wise. We not just need to combine this that calculates the average of a row-wise approach with the column-wise. So in order for us to do that, we need to first declare a one-dimensional array that will be the sum of what's the size of that? 2. Which is how many? This 2 is the number of columns or number of rows? Because I would like to see how many columns, right? And if I would like to know how many columns in number, what should I put here? Instead of, should I put number dot length? No, number dot length is the number of rows. Number 0 dot length, for example, is going to give me the number of columns. So give me the number of columns, even if I change this to 9, for example, now this is going to be changed automatically. I don't have to change them in 2 places. That's the advantage of this method.
We put 2, what will display the row of the column?
This one?
Yeah.
This.
Which one gonna display the row of the column? The program.
If you put 2 like this,
Yeah.
well, this is 2 because I need the columns. Yeah.
But which one will maybe?
But this is just a number now. If I change something here to this, then this is going to be wrong. Yes. Yeah. I need to also change it here. It's clear when this is different number. These are different numbers or the row columns. But when they are the same number, you can get confused. But when we put it something like this, it's clearly what I'm saying. This is the number of the columns of this double two-dimensional array number. So whatever it's in here is going to be given here as the size of my sum. Then I need to do something like what I did here, except that instead of going row-wise, I should go column-wise. So how to go column wise? You remember? For number 0 dot length. And how I know that? You just don't need to memorize this. You have it here. Until a 0 dot length, and then the other one, j, is a dot length. So I'm going to be doing something, except that I don't have a. My array is called number dot length. And now inside here, I'm going to be doing something similar, except that instead of ij, I'm going to say ji. So similar to what? Similar to what is it? This. Similar to this, except that I'm not going to put ij, but ji. And similar, something similar. I need to first put it at 0. So let's put here sum of I to be 0. And then inside here, I'm going to be doing, let me just copy this. Sum of I, no. Yes, do plus equal, that will be easier for me, of number j, I. So this is going to be doing things every, I'm doing the sum, so every column I'm going to get the sum of that. And then I don't need to divide by anything because I'm not displaying the average, I'm just displaying the sum. And now if I'd like to display the sum, I could do something like, after I finish, well, I can do another array, but we don't need to do another array. I can just do it here. I can display sum of I and put a space. And maybe before here I can just put some comments, calculate the sum of every column. Oh, this is not calculate, this is calculate. Calculate. And let's run this just to make sure it is working as we want it to be. So let's put some values that are easy for us to verify. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is 1 plus 3, that's 4. 2 plus 4, that's 6. If I want to display them in one line, I just need to remove this print line. Now, again, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I have them this way. I just need to reduce the number of spaces and maybe add something before that would make something interesting. What about this? So now I put 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to show me this, and then like some sort of a total. And at the end, because I don't want to have this build on the same line, go back to the line. So now I have something that is going to be answering all the requirements. I'm displaying the array. I'm displaying the sum of those. If I'd like to change this now to something more 3, 5, for example, now I'm going to be entering 15 numbers, and let's do it. Just to have something fancy. And now this is my array. 1, 2, 3. Well, in this case, all of them are 6, 6, 6 because I have 1, 3, 2, 2, 1, 3, 3, 2, 1. It's going to work in all, regardless of what's the size that I choose. Now I have only 2 columns, so if I do something like this now, so 1, 3, that's 4, plus 5, that's 9, 6 plus 4, that's 10, plus 2, 12. So it's going to be working in all scenarios. Yes? Any questions? Okay, I have an extra question. What if we would like to ask the user to give us the size of the two-dimensional array? Yeah. How many rows and how many columns?
Change it to 3 and 2, Victor.
Sorry?
Change it the number 3 and 2.
Well, I would like to make the user change that. How can I?
Change the number.
We need to add two variables, not only one. We need to add int rows and columns. And I need these to come up with from the user. To give me how many, what is the size? Yeah. And then I'm going to put these, the result of those from those variables, I'm going to put them there. It's telling me there's a problem because they are not going, they were not initialized. I can just put them 0, for example, for now, and that's fine. Now it's going to be acceptable. So I need these zeros should not come from here, it should come from the user. So what I'm going to be doing is actually I need this scanner to be declared before, and then I'm going to ask the user to give me that. Please enter the number of rows for the array. And then I'm going to maybe just make them a shorter sentence. I can do something like this just for the sake of having something clearly visible on the screen. Number of rows for this two-dimensional arrays, and then I'm going to now let's do something like this maybe. KB dot next int, and please number of columns for the two-dimensional arrays, and then I have to do the same thing. Then I can do the rest. Declare the arrays and then do the work. So this is not part of the question, I'm just giving you some extra information now. So now what I did, actually I declared the scanner, put it on the first thing because I'm going to need it before, so that's why I moved this declaration to the top. The second thing, I just asked the user to enter something and declare the variable to get what the user will going to enter me, to give me. So the number of rows, number of columns in this case. Every time I get that, I put them in the different variable, and then those different variables, I put them at the right place in here, in the declaration of the number. And once I have the number, actually, I could do the same thing. Instead of using this, I can use this here, for example, which makes it probably more interesting, more easily readable to you. So in this case, the number of columns should be the same, right? For both the number and sum, because I would like to have the sum of all columns. So I can leave it as it was. It's okay. It's still okay. But anyway. So now if I run this, what happens? Please enter the number of rows. So let's say I have like 3 rows. A number of columns. I have 4 columns. Now I'm going to enter 12 numbers, which is correct. And then these are the numbers. 9, 10, 11, 12, and that's it. I have all my numbers. And I have the sum. 9 plus 1, 10, 15. 10, 18. 11 plus 7, 21. And then 4, 12, 12, 24. So it's giving me the right calculation. Yes?
If you ask me the number, we want the number between 0 to 10.
Okay, that's a good point. I would like to ask the user to give me a number of rows between 1 and 10.
Yeah.
Okay, so then what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to do something like this. Do, that's a very good question, because it makes us use the do. While this number of rows is, let's say, less than Well, if it was 1, we accept 1, 2 until 10, right? So 0 is not acceptable, right? So if it's less than 1, or if the rows are greater than 10, it should start again. But the problem is that, as you can see, I need to declare rows outside of this loop now, because now rows are not known there. So I'm going to do something like this. Now I'm going just to display something between 1 and 10, let's say, for example. So now I'm going to ask the user to give me a row. If the user gives me 100, for example, is 100 less than 1? No. Is 100 greater than 10? Yes. So this is true. If this is true, go up and ask the user number of rows again. So let's do this. Let's test it. Number of rows between 1 and 10. I put 5, for example. It's going to continue and go for the next part, which is okay because 5 is less than 1? No. 5 is greater than 10? No. So both of them are false. I'm going to get out, as I did here. Now if I'm doing something different, if I run and then I give like just 11, number of rows, the 11 is not acceptable. 0, for example, number of rows. So as long as I'm giving something which is less than 1 and greater than 10, it's going to give me another one. This one, I'm still going to ask you to give me another one until you give me between 1 and 10. If I give 10 or whatever, now this is acceptable. It goes now for the columns. And I can do the same thing for the columns again. Declare this to be on the top, like here, and then do the same do and while. I said now this time I'm going to do and I'm not asking about the rows here. I should be asking about the columns, and depending on what conditions I would like to put on the columns. I would like the columns between, for example, 1 and 5, whatever. So I can put whatever I need as I wish. But this is just a question to show you how we can manage different inputs and make sure that we get the inputs that we want. So in this case now I'm forcing the rows to be between 1 and 10, and the columns, what did I type that? Okay, here 5, for example, and then the columns between 1 and 5. So if I used 6, it's not going to be acceptable, but 2, for example.
Yeah. If I write here row bigger than 0 and row smaller than 11.
Bigger than 0
Yes.
and smaller than 11.
Yeah.
But
Now, between from 1 between 0 to 10, the number here.
let's have a look. Imagine we ask the user to give us this, and then the user types 5. Okay, so this is 5. Is 5 greater than 0?
Yes.
Yes. Is 5 less than 11? Yes. So if this is yes, what should happen?
Go up.
I'll go up again. So it's like I don't want these numbers. So I want him to repeat again. Give me between 1 and 10. Well, he gives you between 1 and 10. You should go on and move on to something else. Now, if you're doing something like you would like to ask you to give you some specific values, you don't put the condition that you want here in the loop. You put the condition that you don't want, because if you don't want something and the user gives you what you don't want, you're going to make the user again give you something that you want. So that's why in this case it is going to be repeating even if you give him the right number. Let's try this. If I run this and give 5, enter between 9, but if I put 0, it's going to accept it. I don't want this. So this is not the way you should do it. When you do something like this, you have to ask the questions of the cases that you don't want. I don't want the rows to be less than 1. or the rows to be greater than 10. If this is true, I will make the user give me another number. And I will repeat this until the user gives me something that I want. If this is something that I want, that means this condition is going to become false, then I get out. So that the thing that I want, I put them in a way that this condition becomes false. That's what it needs to do. Any other questions?